So I don't know how long it's been since I made just a car video, but I don't know if anybody knows I'm going through putting the reinforcement plates on the front of my my Jeep here, and I'm gonna put some adjustable lift, I don't know what they call these, but for my coil springs, I guess ride height adjusters. And I'm gonna swap out and put some LED lights, and I've got these HIDs in the front here that one of them always is finicky. I think it's just the igniter box, but these have HID and incandescent in them, and I'm gonna put these HID headlights, which have cooling fans in them. They're gonna go, I'm gonna mount those inside the Hellas. So I'm gonna do a lot of stuff on the front because I gotta take the bumper off to put the reinforcement plates. And the main reason I'm doing this is because I want to, excuse the mess, which is always here. I want to put this winch, it's a Badlands winch, literally from probably about 20 years ago. I bought it Harbor Freight, that's why it still has steel cable on it. Because that weighs quite a bit. If I get a chance to upgrade and run the new plasma cord or even go to a whole new winch, then it won't be as heavy, but it's what I have. And I'm not going to have it on there all the time because I have it mounted on a plate that goes into my receivers. So this Jeep actually has a receiver behind the license plate in the front, and of course has a receiver in the back. And all my other vehicles are going to have hitches. This is actually just a temporary hitch, which is the, I don't know, I think that's a 2-inch receiver or 1.5 inch. But that's coming off of there because I'm actually going to be putting on this hitch, which of course is a 3-inch. It's a little overkill because it's off of a Dodge 2500. But that hitch is either going to go on this car or on the 2008 Police Interceptor Mad Max car. But I don't know if everybody's seen what I've done on this one. I've gone from, I forget what size tire I had on the back of there, but it was like maybe a 29-inch Goodyear, and then I had Goodyears from my Jeep because I ended up putting the Milestar Patagonias on here, which are 33s. I went down from 35s because I just like the way the 33s work and handle better. But so I had extra tires, so I went ahead and put my old Jeep tires on here. So now I have 33, I think 12.5 or 14.5 tires. And I had some front coil springs from either a Chevy or a Dodge 2500 diesel. So they raised it just about right. It's a little stiff, but I've got Rancho 9000s I'm going to put on, which are adjustable. And I have to do a little bit of clearancing in here because this has a mini spool in the rear. I didn't have the diff welded for some reason. I think somebody had a really good deal on a mini spool for a 9-inch. So unfortunately, I didn't re-gear the rear end, but I did put the mini spool in it. So when I do turn left and right, the tires have a tendency to not only bark, but they kind of rub the body somewhere. And I don't really want to put wheel spacers. I might put a wheel spacer on this side just because the exhaust sticks out further, and I've got some fenders, or one fender that somebody gave me, which is from the back of a semi tractor. I'm going to cut that down the center and make two fenders with it. And I might space these wheels out. Since I have 4 of these tires, I was almost tempted to make it a dually for when I go out to Wasteland Weekend. So I'd literally have 4 33-inch tires, and then, so I'm assuming the tires would be out here, probably about where that shadow is. And I could just put those fenders, those half fenders on temporarily, because I'm not going to drive on the street with, 6 tires on it, because I could imagine if I were to bump a curb or something, that would put a lot of strain on a rear end with a spool. If it had a differential in it, it'd be different. Narrower tires would be different, but and then I have these tractor tires that are on the front, which are brand new Nancos that somebody had. There's some Express Traction. What are these? These are a 715. I used to have 915s on the rear when I used to race it, and they were the same tire. They were just a taller tire. So these are going to be my fronts forever. These are going to be my rears forever, and who knows, I might make it dually and put bigger fenders. But if I put small wheel spacers on it, like 1.5 inches, I have 1.5 inch wheel spacers, or I don't remember what they are. I just don't want to ruin the stance, because let me see what these are. They should say it on them. Oh, of course, there goes a nut. I don't know what. 5 by 4.5, but it doesn't say how wide they are. I don't know. They look like about 1.5 inches, which is a little overkill. Come over here, you nut. Oh, that was nice. So I don't know if I want to. I don't like wheel spacers, for one. I've had some bad experiences with wheel spacers, but those are hub centric, so they're safer. I just don't know if they're hub centric to these rims, because these are early 60s, mid 70s rim, because it's a 1968 LTD, a big one. So I like the stance right now. And the only reason that you can see tire here is because the side of the car is all caved in from all the racing and wrecks. But if I put a wheel spacer, I'm afraid I would run into issues that aren't necessarily beneficial, when I could just maybe cut and grind or hammer in where it's rubbing. But I like the way it sits right now. It's got a really, gosh, this car's longer than my Suburban. So I like the way the car looks. I can't even get the whole car in the, okay, there we go. I like the way the car looks now. I like the height, I like the width, I like the track width, and it's just about right. I might raise the front a little bit, because I need to do some alignment work on it anyways, and it would probably benefit me a little bit, because I think I do have a little bit of rubbing issues in here, which I could cut out more, but it would be cool if it was lifted a little higher, just not so high that it looks like the wheels are out of place. If I end up finding a 4-wheel drive F350, F150 that has a straight axle, or a newer F250, or even F350 that's 4-wheel drive, I'd love to just pull this whole body off. I don't know if I would use the frame still. I probably could, which would give me a lift with stock suspension if I just use this frame and mount it on top of the frame of the F350 or F250 or F150. That would actually give me a body lift about the height of the frame, without having to do suspension work on the truck chassis. And whatever engine and transmission the truck came with, I'd have all the room in the world to have the gear shift come out of the floor for if it's stick shift, the floor shifter come out of the floor if it's stick shift. And usually truck frames have more of a, like this is a good example of a truck frame. They usually move up and kick back down around the motor. but then they're higher where the bed is. So a car frame kind of is straight all along. So depending on how that works out, if this frame will sit on top of the truck frame, it'll be stronger, it'll be a little heavier, but then I don't have to rework the body to fit it to the truck frame. I just have to mount the car with no suspension onto the truck frame, and I could actually still use my engine, because my engine would still be mounted to the frame, because this has a good 390 in it. But if that becomes problematic, I just won't even use this engine. I don't care if the four-wheel drive has a straight 6 in it, or a diesel, or maybe another 390, or a 460. I don't care, because this isn't a race car anymore. I just want it four-wheel drive and lifted, or I want it to work with these wheels. But a four-wheel drive Mad Max car is just like the ultimate. So, because my doors work, all my dash works now, I'm gonna put turn signals, tail lights, and real headlights in it again, because it's street legal now. So the more stuff I put on it that hasn't been through the hell that this car was put through during 13 events at Paris Auto Speedway at Night of Destruction, and then the goofing off and screwing around out at Wasteland, and then donuts and burnouts out here in the parking lot and around town. The quicker I get rid of all this drivetrain, the quicker I can start working on another drivetrain that's going to be permanent. But this rear end hasn't given me a problem. The transmission is almost new, a C4 or C6. The motor, it's been through hell, but it still runs great. I just need to put the aluminum radiator in I ordered. And if the engine, if that takes care of the overheating problems, then the car's done. If the engine still has an issue, then that would be one additional benefit to finding a truck, a wrecked truck, or just a dilapidated truck that had the drivetrain and was four-wheel drive, because I'm not going to swap anything over if it's not four-wheel drive. That much time and effort, I'm going to end up with four-wheel drive. But if this motor ends up, I got to fix an exhaust leak, change the radiator, and I think throw some plugs in it. I haven't put plugs in it since I've owned it. I want to get a timing advance dial that I can adjust the timing on it when I'm driving, because there's a big block, and if the timing's retarded, it starts better, or forget which. It starts better with the timing either retarded or advanced, but it doesn't want to run like that as well, because when this gets up to operating temperature, it wants to grind the starter, because it has like an ignition. I can hear it knock when it goes to start, and I could adjust for that with the timing and not mess with the carburetor mixture and have to run high octane fuel. But I should probably just run super in it, or some race gas. But that's the other thing, is I've got this little, I think 6-gallon tank, which is demo products. Well, now I was gonna put in, oh, I knew I'd do that. Every time I move this, I gotta remember to set it just so. That's from the Jeep. So I have I think this is about a 8-gallon tank, 10-gallon tank out of a like a race truck or a buggy. But I came across where same place where I got the hitch. Now there's a bigger gas tank, and somehow I have found a way to misplace a frickin' gas tank. Big surprise with all this frickin' mess. Anyways, I have a gas tank that's almost double the size of the tank that's in the car right now, and it's bigger than the tank that I was originally going to put in here, which is from a small pre-runner. Man, I tell you what, if I can't lose something big once in a while, where the heck would I have put a, oh, duh, right next to the regular gas tank. So this is a bigger gas tank, and it has all the plumbing on it already, and the cap and the sending unit, which that one has the sending unit in it, but this one was made for a draw feed that comes out the top, so there's no gravity feed on it. So I have a tank that'll actually work better with my setup, because I still have the original fuel pump on the side of the engine, but I also have an electric fuel pump that I'm going to put in. This would work better with the mechanical fuel pump, and I don't even have to do the electric fuel pump, but I do like redundancies. So yeah, I got quite a bit of stuff to do. Finish the Jeep, finish this car. I got to put brakes on the Suburban before I go to Oregon, which that's be another video. And not much else car-wise, but one of the things that inspired me to do this video is I went to the RV parts store and I saw this P-trap, which P-traps aren't that exciting, but this P-trap has a dump valve, and that's just fresh water. It's not even it's funny they call it a P-trap, but they don't put a P-trap under a toilet. Inside a toilet is already a form of a P-trap, but this goes under your sink. But everybody knows if you've ever dropped a ring or got something stuck or dropped into the drain, or you even have to clear the drain, you usually remove this to clear the drain or get one of your pieces of fine jewelry out. Well, this is a P-trap that has a dump bed in it. And I've been working on RVs for well over 20 years, and I've never seen that. But that is like the best idea I think I've ever seen. And of course, made in the US of A. What a cool idea. And I saw it in a pile of plumbing parts. I told my buddy that works at the place, I go, oh, well, I'm buying that other $300 worth of stuff. I'm going to buy this too, which I probably can't put together with one hand. Let's see. Oh. But I just had to have that. Even if I don't ever use it, that is just a brilliant idea. And I think I'm going to start another project with my 99 Suburban. I think I'm going to make something out of it. It's going to be a surprise. So, anyways, my whole inspiration was actually to video this, but I thought, well, since I live in the projects, you know, project here, project there. Oh, and I got rid of the Mad Max motorcycle. I was going to make a Goose replica motorcycle for Wasteland, but a friend of mine's son is doing welding for me on this and the Mad Max car outside, and we're going to do some stuff on here. I want to make kind of a crash bar, or a kind of like a train cow catcher, because I got to cut this bumper. My front end is, as you can see, the front bumper is smashed way back, and before I put that aluminum radiator over there in this box, I got to cut the front end apart on this because of all the crashes it's been in. I hardly ever got hit in the rear end because I was hardly ever, once I passed everybody, nobody could catch up to me, so my rear bumper has survived almost completely unscathed during 13 events, except for just that bend there. But the front end, I just took advantage of being able to rear end people. So I got to cut the front end apart and put some good reinforcement, but doesn't have to be heavy duty because it's not going to be for crashing into stuff anymore. But I'd like it to look cool. So some of this stuff might get reused. I don't think the Kawasaki Ninja whole front end thing is going to be there anymore, and neither is Gator. But the radiator is going to take precedence. Once the radiator's in, I build around it. But the radiator can't fit, nothing goes. So I got to cut. Probably end up having to remove the whole front bumper. It's been reinforced and recut and bent, and it's time for it to take a vacation. And but the rest of the car looks exactly the way I want it to look, other than I'm going to do a new paint job. I'm going to do one of the police cars that's in the second Mad Max movie, The Road Warrior. So I can surprise you with it, but it's going to be all silver, except for the doors are going to be black. I think the roof might still stay white or silver. And I'm going to try and keep my kind of hand-painted Punisher door on there. I don't know how I'm going to do that with painting in a different color, unless I might even just paint the whole car silver and leave the doors white, because the roof I actually want to stay white. It's not white here anymore because of rust, which I really like the patina, but it'd be cooler if it was white. But I'm going to get a different light bar. I'm going to have gumballs, which are what was supposed to be on it in the first place. So I'm going to have blue and red gumballs and probably 3 sirens. No traffic advisor, no strobes here. Or no, these strobes won't be on here. These lights will be repurposed. But I'm going to have maybe the gumballs on top of this wing. This is from a Dodge Charger. The front wing is off of a Mustang. I thought it'd be kind of cool to put the gumballs up here, but this isn't big enough. But I'm also thinking of maybe blending this together with sheet metal so it looks more like the MFP interceptors on the movies. And that's the reason I'm going to try and redo the front. It's going to be like a cow catcher, but I'm actually going to form it like the front of one of those Ford, I don't remember if they were Falcons that were the regular police cars, but it's going to be all beat up, or it's not going to match anything. The only part on the entire car that doesn't have dents in it, I think, is the hood, the roof, and the trunk. So I guess I could put a decent front end on it. The back, I'm going to be putting the tail lights are going to be, hopefully, if they work out. So I've looked at a couple different styles, and these are from a Mustang. I think these would look pretty cool right about. I'm not going to be able to get them to stay, but so I want these tail lights, and I want to do the 3. I forget what they call that when they go the 3, whatever. But I'll have a backup light, and I don't know. These I'll probably end up kind of melting or damaging them in some way or weathering them. I just like the way these look, even though they're really too modern for the car, but I've kind of gotten over trying to stay with the era, because my alternative to those was to put these on, which are from an even newer vehicle, but they'd be easier to do. And it's funny, they actually almost look more, kind of more like they'll be literally back Frenched in. They'd be easier to mount because of the body line. And when they're in there, they would probably look more the part. But, and it's all Ford stuff. So I've got all the wiring harnesses for both. But I don't know, I just really dig the whole idea of the old school 3-segment taillight deal. I don't know what they call that, but it's kind of like half of a Knight Rider thing. So, but I don't know. If somebody wants to make a comment, make a suggestion of what looks better, and if you want me to kind of set them both up, with the Ford, those aren't Fusion taillights, they're Escape taillights. I don't have to cut very much out of the trunk lid because they'll kind of fit. This whole area comes off. This is just bolted on. So I can take this all off and I can straighten this bumper because that bumper's bent and this one's, I think this one just kicked out a bit from hitting the wall. So, I don't know, if somebody sees this and wants to put in their 2 cents worth, let me set them both up there so, I don't even know if this is the left or the right. I guess it doesn't matter when it comes down to it, but this would look better here. So either, and let me get a right tail light for the other side. Is that right? Yeah. Set up there for me. So either this, of course, Frenched in, and it will go in. You know, I'll work around that, but either this tail light that's got the 3 that'll flash in a pattern and brake lights, backup lights in the middle, or these tail lights, which you'll be able to see from the side too. They would have, I think, an amber up here and then a white backup light, and then this light would be red. I don't know if there's there's 2 lights in here. So 2 reds, a white, and an amber. Where this one, all red, turn signal, and which would be actually use the wire now I think of it, because this will be a conventional domestic wiring. This will be, I think it has an amber. Oh, this had a strobe in it. So this was from some type of police vehicle. So I don't even know if the top one is anything. I think it's just, this one might be, okay, so this would be domestic too, because this would be my backup light. This would be nothing. Well, I could put a strobe in there or some accent color, and then this would be 2 brake lights. So 3 brake lights that would all be turn signals and brake, and a clear backup. So I don't know. I got a feeling I know what you guys are gonna want, but that would be easier. Might be less work to put in, but that would be cool. So I don't know, let me know in the comments, and I'm going to get back at it.